Hi everyone, my name is Tiana Keith and welcome to my Introduction to Behavioral Statistics video. In today's video, we are going to go over percentages and per capita. I am going to show you how to calculate a percentage, how to calculate a change in percent, and also how to calculate a per capita rate. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than the standard process of my normal videos. Normally I walk you through like a step-by-step process and how to plug in numbers and things like that. But today's a little bit different. This is more introductory. And so what I've done is I've just created quite a few example problems, and we're just going to go through those example problems step by step. And I'm just going to show you how to solve that. And so hopefully that will help you get through this class. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, our first example problem. What is 30% of 200? So first we need to convert that percentage into a decimal by dividing the percentage by 100. And so when we take 30% and divide that by 100, that's going to give us a decimal of 0.30. So next, we are going to multiply that decimal by the second value. So we are going to take 0.30, multiply that by 200, and that's going to give us 60. So our final answer for this question is 30% of 200 is 60. Okay, next problem. What is 16.5% of 124? So it's just going to be the same process. We are just going to convert that percentage to a decimal, multiply that by our second value. That's going to give us 20.46. And so our final answer for this is going to be 16.5% of 124 is 20.46. All right, next problem. How many students in a class of 20 would make up 62% of the class? So when looking at a problem such as this, it always helps to reword the problem into something that makes a little bit more sense for you. So when I'm looking at this problem, I see that the information that I am supposed to find is what 62% of 20 is. And since we've already gone ahead and done some problems similar to that, the process is relatively simple. So we're just going to do the same thing again and take 62%, convert that to a decimal, and then we're going to multiply that by 20. That is going to give us 12.4. And so our final answer for this problem is going to be 12.4 students would make up 62% of the students in a class of 20. Okay, moving on to the next ones. 18 is 60% of what number? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do the same process that we have already done. And so we're just going to take that percentage and we are going to convert it to a decimal by dividing by 100. And then we are going to divide that second value by the decimal. So we are going to divide 18 by 0.60, and that's going to give us a value of 30. And so the final answer for this question would be 18 is 60% of 30. Now, there's another way that you can go about solving a problem such as this. You can use a formula that I've provided here. And all that you would need to do was plug in the numbers into that formula, and it's going to go ahead and give you the same result. So whichever method works easiest for you, please feel free to go ahead and use either one of them, or if you want to use a combination of both, whatever works for you. All right, moving on to our next example problem. The statistics exam is out of 50 points. Susan earned 45 points. What is Susan's percentage grade for this exam? Okay, so it's going to be the same process. We are going to just do some simple dividing. We are going to divide the points given by the points total possible. Then we are going to multiply by 100 in order to get a percentage. So we are going to take the exam score of 45 points, divide that by the total points of 50. That's going to give us 0.9. And then in order to get a percentage for that, we are going to multiply that by 100. And so our final answer is going to be that Susan received a 90% on the exam. Okay, so now we are going to move on to calculating a percentage from a total, and these are relatively similar to what we have already examined before. All right, so let's go ahead and get started on these example problems. Example problem number 1. Your total bill at a restaurant is $35.43. You want to leave a 20% tip. How much do you leave? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to take that percentage and convert that to a decimal. We're going to multiply that by the dollar amount of the bill. And so that is going to give us a amount of 7.086, and we want to make sure that we round at this point. So the final answer to this question is that 20% of $35.43 is $7.09. All right, next problem. You earned a 95% total on an exam. You got 38 answers correct, and each question was worth 2 points. How many questions were on the exam? All right, this one is a little bit more difficult, but we can use the things that we have already learned to solve this one as well. Okay, so first off, let's reword that question and kind of get some of the information out of there. So we know that each question was worth 2 points. We also know that we got 38 answers correct. So we have 38 answers or 38 questions times 2 because they were worth 2 points gives us a value of 76. So now we need to know that value of 76 is 95% of what number? And this is a problem we've already looked at. So I've gone ahead and plugged those numbers into the formula just because the formula is a little bit easier to use for me. So we are looking for that x value. So we're going to plug in the value of 76 divided by 95, multiply that by 100, and so on and so on. So that is going to give us a value of 80. So that value of 80 does not tell us that there were 80 questions on the exam. There's a little bit more work that we still need to do. So that tells us that there were 80 points possible. And we also keep in mind that each question was worth 2 points. So in order to figure out how many questions there were on the exam, we need to take that 80 points total and divide it by 2 points that we would have gotten for each question. So when we take 80, divide that by 2, that's going to give us a value of 40. So the final answer for this question is that there were 40 questions on this exam. Okay, now let's move on to change in percent. So the formula for change in percent is up on the left-hand corner of the screen, and the formula reads that the new value subtracted from the old value divided by the old value multiplied by 100. It's not that complicated once we actually get into it and plug those numbers in. So let's go ahead and look at that example problem. The first problem states, on the first exam, Jason's score was 46. On the second exam, his score was 57. What is the change in percent of his exam scores? Okay, so all that we need to do is plug the values into the formula. So his first exam, which is the older exam, score was 46. His second exam, which is the newer exam, that score was 57. So all that we need to do is plug those numbers into the equation and solve. So when we solve all of this out, then we get a value of 24%. And so the final answer for this question is going to read that Jason saw a 24% increase in exam scores. And it's important that you include the word increase or decrease in your final answer because otherwise no one will be able to tell if it's going up or down, if you're actually getting an increase or a decrease. So if your answer is positive, it is an increase. If your answer is negative, it is a decrease. So our next problem looks at a negative, so that looks at a decrease in percent. So for example problem number 2, in 2005, the average cost of a concert ticket was $53.46. In 2008, the average cost of a concert ticket was $42.10. What was the change in percent for the cost of concert tickets? Okay, so it's going to be the same process. We are just going to plug in those old and new values and then multiply and solve that out and everything. And we are going to be left with a value of negative 21%. So our answer for this problem is the average price of concert tickets saw a 21% decrease from 2005 to 2008. Okay, last but not least, we are going to look at per capita rates. So the formula for figuring out per capita is up in the upper left-hand corner. And all that we need to do is the same process that we've done before and just plug the values from our problem into that solution. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at our example problem. Mos Eisley has a population of 217,378 people. The city reported 756 homicides in 2016. What is the per capita percentage of homicides? Okay, so first we are going to plug those numbers into the equation, and we are left with quite a large decimal. Now, most of the time you are going to round at this point. When you are looking at per capitas, you do not round until the very end. So this very long decimal that you are looking at, or this very long solution, is what you're going to work with for the next couple steps. Okay, so for step two, we are going to multiply. So we are going to take that 0.00347781,284, and we are going to multiply that by 100. And then after we multiply that out, then we round. And so for that section, it is going to give us a value of 0.34%. And then we are going to take that same long decimal and multiply that by 100,000. And then we are going to round for that as well. And then we are left with 347.78. And to explain what those values mean, I have included them in our final answer. So our final answer for this question is, of all crimes reported in Mos Eisley in 2016, 0.34% were homicides. Mos Eisley had 347.78 homicides per 100,000 people in 2016. Okay, that does it for this video. I hope everything helped. Good luck in statistics, guys.